Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit TRE.radio.
Discuss, challenge, inform, comment, viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe.
Giles Brown.
Live comment and discussion with studio guests. Viewpoint.
It is Tuesday, the 29th of July. Welcome to Viewpoint, Talk Radio Europe's current affairs programme with a panel of invited guests where we discuss the issues of the day. It can be something international, national or local. If you want to get involved with this morning's Viewpoint, then these are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
And a special announcement. This is the last Viewpoint for at least the summer recess anyway, as all the parliaments, etc. will be packing up. So we won't be bringing you... So if you want to get your Viewpoint across, this is the last time to do it, because we'll be taking the month of August Viewpoint-wise off anyway. So those are the number... Those are the ways to... this is the last chance to get involved. Meanwhile, let's have a look at what's happening in the papers across in the UK this morning's. The main stories seem to be as follows. The Guardian leads with Donald Trump's calls after meeting with Sir Keir Starmer for Israel to let more aid into Gaza to tackle what it acknowledged was the real starvation. Daily Mirror says the Prime Minister guided Mr. Trump onto a more human path, but other papers concentrate on different comments from the US President. Cut tax to beat Farage is how the Times sums up his advice to the Prime Minister. Cut taxes and stop the boats is the Daily Telegraph's take. Daily Express says it's pretty simple, but the one problem, says the Daily Mail, is that the Labour leader is a world expert at doing the exact opposite. Financial Times says that European markets have reeled after the big nations, France and Germany, cast doubt on the EU's trade deal with Washington. The Times says initial relief at the announcement gave way to fears that the 15% tariff rate would cost businesses across the UK dearly. Writing in the Daily Telegraph, former Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng, if you're wondering where the hell he'd been, says the deal is the EU's greatest humiliation since Britain voted to leave. The Guardian says that as the 5-day strike by resident doctors is nearing its end, NHS bosses and doctors' union are in a war of words over patient safety. The Times highlights the warning that the British Medical Association is risking lives by refusing to let striking doctors work. The Sun wonders whether giving militant doctors a 22% pay rise last year might turn out to be the government's worst mistake of its worst year in power. Didn't it dawn on ministers that all it would achieve would be another absolute absurd pay deal from the Marxist BMA this year? It says England's Euro-winning footballers remain on many of the front pages as they visited Downing Street for a reception to visit their victory, to celebrate their victory over Spain. The Sun headlines its coverage, the Lion Ladies. The Times says the next goal for the Lionesses is more honours to go with MBEs or OBEs some received after their Euro title in 2022. The Daily Star is also calling for the managers and players to receive official recognition. Headlining its story, The Beautiful Dame. In its editorial, The Guardian says the Lionesses have lit up an English summer, forging legends that will fire the imaginations of future generations of girls. So those headlines from the top today. England's Euro glories, The Sun. Strong and victorious on steps of number 10, the Lion Ladies. The Metro, it's come home again. Fans cheer England after Euros win. The I paper, you can't fake that starvation. Trump and UK send new Gaza warning to Israel. The Guardian, proper England, selfless, defiant, hardworking and champions. The Daily Telegraph has got a picture of two of the England players dancing with joy apparently in Downing Street. Trump, cut taxes and stop the boats. Daily Express, Trump's pretty simple advice for Prime Minister. Lower taxes, stop crime, cut illegal migration, and protect farmers. Daily Mail, Trump tells Starmer how to see off Farage. It ain't rocket science. Cut taxes and ruinous immigrations. The Times, Trump cut tax to beat Farage. The Mirror leads on the honorary graduation ceremonies held for the Nottingham attack victims Barnaby Webber and Grace O'Malley Kumar. The paper features a courageous Charlie Webber who collected his brother's honorary degree from Nottingham University as their parents urged graduates to raise a glass to Barnaby. For my brother, sibling bravery amid the imaginable pain at graduation ceremonies for Nottingham victims. EU markets reel as blocs big nations cast out on Washington trade deal. That is on the front of Financial Times. And the Daily Star, beautiful dame. The Daily Star says, give Serena and Linus his gongs. The beautiful dame, this will brighten up your cabinet. And we've got a leader in number 10. And those, for better or worse, are your headlines. Football leader, you see. Those are your headlines. On this Tuesday, the 29th of July.
Great savings on all Nessun products at Mikolchon. Up to 24 months interest-free. No hidden fees. Proud sponsors of the international news headlines on TRE. Mikolchon for a great night's sleep.
Viewpoint with
Giles Brown.
Joined by hopefully live on the line from the good ship Leyland. Rex, are you there?
I am here. Yes, I am. Good morning, Giles. Good morning, Spain.
Fear not, Rex. For some strange and uncalculable reason, a knob had been turned down, but that is the story of my life. How are things there on the old Thamses?
Well, it's cooled down a lot. The London has emptied out. It's refreshingly easy to maneuver oneself around the city.
Right.
All the schools have broken up and everyone's left.
So you're enjoying your life in perfect solitude then, basically, yeah?
I remember years ago when one went to Paris in August, it was completely empty. And I have to say that London's becoming quite similar.
I used to like it. That was the old thing when I was living in that there London, when the Christmas week and everybody else who had sort of would go off to the shires and whatever during that
That's
Christmas
right.
week, and you would if you were sort of a singleton like myself as I was back in the 90s, or I still am actually, but you would find yourself with lots of elbow room in the Potter, which was terribly good fun.
Absolutely. And you can park, always find a parking space. There's no queues and the traffic and everything. So, no, it's actually, it's quite nice. It's quite nice.
Right then, we're going to kick off the ball because this is the last one before we take our summer break. I'm just wondering about how, looking at how sort of London or the UK is it's an interesting time at the moment, and there's a couple of bits and pieces that I'd like to throw out there for both of my panel, members of my panel, and you two out there as well, dear listeners. Looking at because this time last year, of course, we had these scenes of unrest outside hotels being used for the purposes of homing illegal migrants or asylum seekers and whatever. And there seems to be a sort of a slow burning situation of that as well at the moment in Epping, which has been I've been watching the past few days with also the allegations that one of the people housing there had tried to well, apparently sort of grab and kiss this girl. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are going to be, Rex, and Tim, if you want to get joined as well, about this, what this summer has, because as the long hot days come and the balmy weather comes, we seem to see an upsurge in this sort of behavioural demonstrations. Over to you, Rex.
Well, first of all, the heat wave's gone, thankfully. It was very oppressive. And I do believe that hot weather and rioting go hand in hand. People do not riot when it's thunder and lightning. They tend to go out when it's lovely and warm. The Epping saga, I'd sort of followed it, but it's got to be expected that people in this country can only take so much. for a certain time, and that goes hand in hand with the influx of migrants, the damning effects of government, shall we say, visions of financial utopia, which sadly is not the case. I think that because everybody's being hit financially, everybody's short of money and being unfairly treated by this government, that the migrants are the whipping boys or whipping people, whatever you want to call them, that the people are venting against whatever's going on. And I think the migrants are getting it first. Without wishing to be too controversial, when I walk around my area here in West London, it has undoubtedly changed. We've been here, 18 years, and it has definitely changed the sort of people that pass you in the street.
How do you mean by that?
Are different to what it was when we first came here. There has been an immense amount of building.
Yeah.
We have a lot of new people coming to live here in what I call these rabbit hutches, these tiny, tiny flats. You can barely move inside them, and they are housing millions of people. These millions of people, I think, tend to not be English. I'm being very polite, Giles, you've noticed.
Yes,
and it causes, I think it causes apprehension. So, and doubt as to where our country's going. But on the other hand, if you leave London and you go to the countryside, you hardly ever see any migrants. They're only in the city. So people could say, well, if you don't want to see anybody not of your own, then go and live in the countryside.
Is that going down the Dominic Cummings line of get out of your metropolitan elites and go to the country, as he famously said when he was under flak?
I think so. So basically, things are changing. And what happened in Epping, probably, it only needs a tiny spark to light the fire. And we know what allegedly happened, that some poor young girl was molested or whatever by an immigrant.
Well, she was grabbed. Allegedly, she's grabbed and been grabbed and kissed, or attempted to kiss her. So that's the thing that's people.
I don't know. Do you know what? I didn't study it that closely, but I mean, it's not surprising, Giles. I'm afraid to say it's not surprising, and we've really got to stop the boat people. We've got to stop this terrible flow. This government promised in their manifesto that they would stop the boats. Well, it's just got worse. And there's only so much this country can afford. And at the moment, we're struggling.
I mean, short of mining the channel, Tim. Rex. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Let's go over to Tim, shall we? Tim, morning to you, my dear friend.
Oh, good morning, Giles. Yes.
Morning, Tim.
Rex. I hope you're well on the Thames there.
Yep, we are.
I think, it was suggested, I read recently, that if you, let's say, set up tents in some sort of rural environment where migrants, or let's say illegal migrants, could be encamped, rather than set them up in favourable circumstances in cheap hotels, that might be a sort of disincentive. I mean, after all, those migrants have mobile phones with which they will phone their dear friends in Calais or thereabouts and suggest to them that, yes, it's all good, that the UK is prepared to accommodate us properly. When without any assessment having taken place as to the veracity of what they're saying about asylum, these people are being accommodated in favourable ways. And I do think that it does have to stop, or at least some sort of policy has to be put in action, which has been long promised, that prevents the sheer numbers. But the great trouble seems to me is it's an ideological problem or a political problem, in the sense that rather as the Democrats in the US were highly resistant to any control, we have a Labour Party that may say that it has an interest in controlling immigration, are simply not doing it. That you have to be, in a sense, ruthless with these things. I don't mean inhuman. I mean, you have to make clear the policy you're going to enact and actually enact it. And if that requires officials concerned with immigration and a legal framework to enable it to happen quickly, costing money, then it has to cost money. I don't see any other way around it, unless you're prepared to just go carte blanche and have as many as come. In which case, the likelihood is that, especially with a falling birth rate among indigenous members of the British Isles, if you like, that
most of Europe.
Yeah, most of Europe, all of the UK will be kind of subjugated to an alternative religion, and made into an entirely different substance, and that, for an Englishman as I am, and still proud to be one, would be a great shame. So it's a matter of control. I mean, I do think that if you took an Australian model and said, well, if you want to come to the UK, you bring something, as in medical qualification or nursing, things that have actually of some value and use, that is fine by us. But if you're just coming here because you think you can benefit from a society which we've long built up and it's evolved with us since the Victorian times and before, then I don't think that is acceptable. If that sounds slightly xenophobic or racist, if you like, which won't appeal to any left-wing listener, I'm only dealing with the facts. I'm very middle ground in my politics. I'm just trying to be reasonable in the attitude.
This in from Graham, it says, imagine not being from Epping, because there have been protests and counter-protesters, okay? So imagine not being from Epping and protesting against concerned parents and locals because they don't want unknown, unvetted, dangerous foreign men in their area. What's up with them?
Well, I just, if I might continue just for a second.
Yeah, go for it.
I think... as a woman, if Giles might know more about this than I do, but that if you're walking through a darkened car park or up some sort of back passage somewhere, you are on your. You have a level of alertness, which is, concerned.
Yeah, I got mugged in Brixton 30 years ago for that very thing.
Exactly. So and it doesn't take much of a giant leap of the imagination that if you start to have the sort of sexually deprived or those who consider Western women to be of a certain persuasion, walking through the streets and feeling they may feel much more vulnerable than they did before. And that is not acceptable. I mean, we have a society in the UK, if left alone, where, for the most part, and apart from the darkened places, a woman can wander around with free of any kind of molestation.
Just to let you, just on this one though, that Jim's come back in saying, I bet you're one of those who supports the Epping disorder against migrant, but doesn't have any issue with the 1,600 registered sex offenders in Essex before this isolated case. So one could argue, gentlemen, that it's not a matter of culture, or this is just something easy to stir up. And although there may be those in Epping who are worried, it's suddenly being hijacked and by both sides, you could say, by both the Tommy Robinson crew and also by the counter protesters as well who have gone over there. Over to you.
Well, I mean, it's very hard to describe things as they are today, but I'll give you an example. Unfortunately, we had to go to A&E a few weeks ago, and to our local hospital, major NHS hospital, and it was evening time, and we walked in, and if I said that we were the only English people in A&E, there was nowhere to sit. It was completely saturated,
Right.
except for one person who happened to be of the same colour as me, was eating a bag of crisps, and I decided that he must be English. And that is supposed to be a little bit funny, but it's true. And the point is that it's getting out of control. I think Tim hit a very good point using the Australian model. We should have used the Australian model. It worked, and they don't have any more issues, and everything is tightly controlled. But everybody was, correct me if I'm wrong, placed on Christmas Island or processed through Christmas Island in an orderly fashion. And this government promised to do the same.
Put them on the Isle of Wight or something.
Well, no, the Isle of Wight's delightful. Put them on Lundy Island with the birds. No, it's awful. It's out of control, and that's the problem. When something's run away, and you have no longer the power to arrest, seize control, or whatever, then it's a serious issue, and we can't afford it. This country can't afford it. I've just literally, before we came on air, I was just reading the Saturday paper, and it's just awful what you read, what's happened. I mean, there are no summer jobs in the pubs. There are no summer jobs in the restaurants because people can't afford to employ.
That was, I was speaking to the owner, the founder of the Firkin Breweries yesterday in an interview, and he was saying that very same thing because of the you
know, it's frightening, Giles. Yeah. It's frightening what's going on.
Just coming in on the what?
You've gone. Hello?
Yeah, sorry, can you hear me? Sorry about that.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Sorry, excuse me, sorry. Thank you, I vanished, yeah. 3 sentenced for sexual abuse of groomed girl. These are three white teens up in Manchester. Callum Hesketh, Michael Linford and Thomas Bell, all 24, were given suspended sentences after pleading guilty to the offences. And they're saying, just on the Epping riots, where is the outrage on this one? Meanwhile, so it's not purely a quote-unquote migrant thing. Richard is getting involved, as he always does. So he says, there are no such thing as illegal migrants. Giles, don't be sloppy. The richest nation in the world is struggling. So much for taking back control. We need immigration. Who's going to do all the jobs that the locals don't want to do? They do bring something with them. They do all the jobs and pay taxes.
I tell you, there's another statistic, Giles, you can chuck in.
Sorry, apparently we've got some casual xenophobia on Viewpoint today, so that's good to know. Thank you very much for that.
You know that because of warm weather we've had recently, the fruit crops are in abundance, and there is a glut of wonderful summer fruit, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, whatever. And the stores are selling them. That's Marks and Spencer, Morrison's, everybody. They're selling them in these little box, these sort of...
I've got a caller on the line, Rex. Sorry about it. We can go back to your fruit-based witterings in a minute. But in the meantime, morning caller live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Yeah, hi, Giles. John in Meehan.
Morning, John.
I'm just briefly on the thing that you might not believe this, but in England there are lots of indigenous English kids who grab girls and kiss them. It sounds as if it's unusual. It's only people who come over on the boats. It's not. It's practically all the young generation, right?
I was thinking about listening to the Epping thing, was just going, you see, it's the Muslims, forgetting that this gentleman is from Ethiopia, and Ethiopia actually is predominantly Christian, but it's just...
that's one person out of somebody said like hundreds or thousands of cases where people don't even complain somebody tried to kiss them unless they're in the Spanish women's football team or whatever. But anyway, my main point was going to phone is that it's all very well saying that like ship them off to a remote island or put them in a tent or whatever. But from what I believe, and some of the cases that have been in England recently, is that the British government gets shot down left, right, and centre by the European Court of Human Rights. So you can't treat these people in a bad sort of way in order to discourage them, because someone will then take them to court and the British government will be in trouble. So to do what your guests are suggesting, you have to first of all get out of the Court of Human Rights, European Human Rights, and then maybe you can do what you like.
Yeah,
I think
very good point.
Yeah, I think the water supply, the encampment that I've suggested, the tents and so on, and the sewage arrangement is sufficient with the good, for that not to be contrary to any human right. It doesn't have to be a hotel. That's what I'm saying.
No, it doesn't have to be a hotel. But the thing is that, like army camps and whatever, it would seem that they probably would have a claim under that European courts. In which case, they've wasted their time. It's a bit like Uganda. The Uganda scheme, I think, was a potentially...
Rwanda scheme, yeah?
Yeah, was a potentially good deterrent. However, Britain weren't allowed, effectively, to implement it because of Europe.
This coming in on the WhatsApps. I would be interested to know where all of these protesters have been in the past when men and women and girls have been assaulted and murdered by white men, including Metropolitan Police officers.
Well, there you go, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave you with that.
Thanks very much for that indeed. If you want to, always good to have 952 78 4000 if you want involved with today's show.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
And good morning to Gary, who is loving the Tim and Rex show. So there you go. You got fans there already. 952 78 4000. Rex.
Yes. Well, John, the last caller, he made a valid point and something that's always concerned me. I'll just finish the summer fruit saga. Basically, there is a glut, and my point is that somebody's picked the fruit. Now, people are going on this saying that there's no one to pick the fruit, and basically there is someone to pick the fruit because it's in the shops and it's being sold at a very, very fair price, and it tastes gorgeous, of course, being English summer fruits. But basically, there must be migrants because they come in for the summer and pick the fruit. But basically, John hit a very good point, and something that I've always worried about. For example, near to where we are here in West London, they built 5 huge blocks of flats. Now, that may be good because there's a shortage of housing and everything else. But I always worry about infrastructure. I worry about water. I worry about sewage. I worry about the pharmacy, the doctor, the dentist. Where are all these essential services that these developers develop, but they forget to put in essential services? And the water, the whole of our water situation is in total disarray. How are we going to have enough water for everybody who's coming into our country? It's just a point to think about. It just upsets me and concerns me. As we're talking generally about immigration, and the other thing is why they say they all want to come to England. I don't think they all want to come to England because every country in Europe has an issue with immigration. I think people want to come here because a member of their family is already here. And then, of course, just to throw a little bit of muck in the eye, we have the terrible situation of the Afghan leakage of all their private...
breach.
Yeah, the data breach. And now we've got all those lovely Afghans who helped us coming to England or coming to the UK. I mean, it just goes on and on. When will it stop? I just don't understand.
One of the things that confused me about this, though, is it's quite horrendous that that this has slipped. This information has slipped, and then it's been revealed that the British government has been flying over people who are in danger from Afghanistan in unmarked plane, obviously. For I think it was 2 years they had a ban, or whatever they call it, a banning order or whatever. Honestly, couldn't release it. And then there is obviously the question of repatriation or repayment for these people who have been, hung out to dry like that. And a lot of the say the Daily Mail, etc., were saying, now they're ambulance chasing and they should be thanking us for saving them, etc., etc. So it's, again, it's very easy to sort of spin it round and at one point say, these are interpreters and whatever. And then the next point you go, they're here now. And next thing we'll be housing them in hotels and they'll be using our services and they'll be wanting money. I mean, it's, or they'll be wanting to use, they're wanting repayment. I mean, it's a no-win situation, surely.
Yeah, well, when I was born, I do believe that the population of the UK was 52 million. And where are we now?
I remember that figure. 52.
Yeah, so you and I may be of the same vintage, Rex. I don't know.
We are. Yeah. I think we are.
Yes. Yeah. And at that time, your GP would come to visit you as a family.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Good old days.
Yeah, and a standalone house in a sort of local community would just be a house with a family in it.
Right.
That house, larger house, has now become 4 flats, which increases the numbers
the pressure
that
on the
local GP has had to deal with. And then you sort of exponentially add this tremendous migration, and every practice. And what is the result? The result is that you phone up your GP now and try very hard to get an appointment. The condition which you're calling will be long since cured or otherwise before you ever get to the GP. And what is the cause of it? It's numbers. People like to ignore the numbers, but without a completely different, hugely grown infrastructure in hospitals and GP practices and dentists and everything else, you can't contend with the numbers. On those grounds alone, immigration should be dealt with.
Well, if I can say something that I feel very strongly about, and that is the NHS. Yeah. And sadly, we've had to use the services of the NHS recently quite a lot because my wife's sadly been unwell for various reasons. And I have to say, we have had the most exemplary service from the NHS through and through in A&E, the GP. Okay, you don't get to see them. They ring you. They ring you at a certain time, and they discuss things, whatever. I would never, ever say anything bad about the NHS. When you need it, it's there for you. And obviously, boils on the body and things like that are not important, or they're not so serious, so therefore you have to join the queue.
Right.
But when you need it, it's there for you, and I have to say, I'm happy to say, it's working. It's working in whatever way. It's working, and I just hope that it continues to do so, given the enormous influx of new people living in our country.
If you want to get involved with this morning's Viewpoint, these are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Viewpoint with Giles Brown.
Always live, always lively. Joined live in the studio by Tim Stafford, from London by Rex Leyland. And it's to the lines we go. Morning, caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Good morning, Giles. You went off the air. Wow. I was getting lonely then.
You're getting lonely. Well, hey, you're never alone with TRE.
With a strand, yeah.
With a strand, yeah. Rex.
And we are all of that age, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning, Rex. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Alf. How are you?
I'm fine. You all sound fine anyway.
Still above ground, Alf. Still above ground.
Yeah. Only just in my case, yeah. So, trying to solve the immigration is just, wow, and to expect after 10 years of running down the services, of killing off border control, of allowing things to happen. And just remember, we must stop this nonsense about it's all about the boat people. There are 7 times, 8 times more immigrants entering the UK, nothing to do with boats. They come in on planes and trains and whatever they come in and they stay beyond their visa terms and things like that. Yeah, and because you do away with, because the British public, by the way, say we're not paying any more tax, and the way the British public do that is by re-electing and unelecting and deselecting and electing government after government after government, but they won't pay the money, and to be honest, I don't blame them, because you see very little return for your money. But some of the things that Tim's, you're always going on about, it's these left people will phone up. But yeah, I heard you the other week, you was talking about, nuclear weapons. You go, it's the Labour Party in government, who elected and selected and chose to keep Trident. So it's a nonsense. You might have the far left, you might have the far right. I don't know, which of them. If you put them all together on a circle, they're back to back. So one, they all say the same thing. But then I come from originally from what is now Islington. In Islington, they built whacking great big houses because the landowners were selling to the landed gentry who were coming in from the country into the cities. So all the houses had a basement, 3 stories and an attic. Every single property around the Islington area. And if they weren't those, they were called the Mews houses. That's where the stables were. That's where the houses for the footmen and all that lived. So what happened is, because they couldn't sell them to the landed gentry, because the landed gentry, something happened along the way that the money disappeared, plus the developers overdevelop, they turned all those big houses into flats. Not flats, they were one-room houses. You rented a room, or you rented 2 rooms, shared toilets, no bathrooms, and all of that. What then happened in the 70s and the 80s is that the rich came back in. So the people who'd moved out to the Essexes and the Hertfordshires and the Kents and where decided that they really wanted to be in the city or near the city, so they didn't have all that travelling on those, with those commuter trains. No, we're going to live on top. So those big houses, the developers started to clear them out from the single room apartments, single room occupation, and converting those. And those, I don't know how much they go for now. Just look it up on one of the estate agents. A 5-story house in Islington is probably going for about 5 or 6 million. Yeah, 5 or 6 million.
6 to 8 million, yeah.
So what happens then is we have another cycle of events.
Actually, I'll interrupt you on that one, Alf, because that was the price. But now, because of the current government, all the whole of the property market in London has stalled.
No, stop it, Rex. It's not because of a Labour government. Do not talk rubbish. Because 20 years ago, there was, under a Labour government, we're going back, if you recall, there was a world recession. The world recession meant that they couldn't sell these houses. So they cleared all the individual people out, put them in a single family occupancy, and then couldn't sell them. So what did they do? They start converting them back into single rooms or flats or whatever you want. But these aren't 5-bob flats. They're not the sort of flats you put homeless people in. Where I came from in Islington, there weren't any rich people there. They were all poor. We never had two halfpennies to rub together, anybody. That's why the front doors were always left open. There was nothing in the house to steal. So it goes full circle. So it's not this is about the money people deciding what happens with the money. And you said it, Rex. Why is it that whenever they do developments, these developments have to be agreed by local planning authorities? Why is it that what happens is you get a developer in, and the developer can argue, no, we're not building a doctor's surgery, no, we're not building a local community centre, no, we're not building, and they get away with building masses and masses and masses of properties with no services. So if you go to places like when I worked in Eltham, they had a thing from London when they were doing the early days slum clearance. Right. This was in between the wars. What they had there is you go into the places in Eltham and you've got the big house for the landowner or whoever it was. In fact, the co-op estate used to be the foreman had the big house, and all the workforce that worked under him had the houses around him. But there was the doctors, there was the schools, there was nurseries, there was all sorts of things that were built because they were moving people out of crappy central London that hadn't been bombed. It was just old, decrepit, 100-year-old buildings that were falling to bits. Move them out into these nice, and they were called villages. And they built villages.
Well, the garden cities, for example, almost like the garden cities of the 30s.
The garden cities was the next phase on from that because you built them further out from London.
Yeah, right.
But Welling Garden City, you go to Welling Garden City, the old Welling Garden City, and yes, it had all the services for all the Stevenage. You go to Stevenage or Harlow or and they're all the way around the edge of London. But that was decamping London from slum clearance in the 40s and 50s. But it is all about slum clearance. Right. But the only people that seem to have any real influence over it, it's nothing about governments. The governments ain't got money to chuck around, only the money that they collect from the taxpayer. It's the money people who then decide, we'll build this so long as we get this in return.
Tim.
Yes, well, what you've just described there, Alf, hello, by the way, is nice to hear, is an evolution of society and its structure, which took place over a long period of time, from that 52 million all the way through to, the sort of 60s when, some mistakes started to be made. So it was an evolution. But that... now we're in a continual state. It seems to me the British Isles are in a continual state of emergency. That's not evolution. There's no sort of process by which these infrastructures can satisfactorily develop. It's all an emergency. But there are too many, and it's a flow. It's a flood rather than a flow, and that is the thing that needs to be addressed because. You're not going to have time to build or to have that doctor's surgery or for a doctor to decide that I'm going to put my plate up there. It just doesn't happen. It's too confusingly emergent, if you like.
Yeah, but if they did it as part of the planning process, that you're going to develop an area of the country. At the moment, you're quite right, it's the emergency knee-jerk reaction. We need to... Right, let's now focus on... Well, we've got all these brownfield sites. I'm not even sure people understand what a brownfield site is. It's an industrial base. I know you do.
Green or brown.
But it's an industrial site, so you're not allowed to build residential properties because it's for future industry. Yeah. And the first thing you say is, so who's building all the factories? Who's building all these places? But we've got to keep it just in case. So instead of that, Bromley, prime example, you're not talking about some rundown bit of the country. You go to Bromley, and what they did in Bromley, because they had biggish houses, more importantly, they had big gardens. So what they allowed them to do was to build buildings at the end of the garden and then sell them. If you recall, and I'm sure you do, Rex and Tim, back in the 70s, they were selling garages in Bromley for like 80 and 90,000 pounds, and it was a garage, and they converted it and they said, "Oh, now we've got planning permission. We need all these new properties because we've got too many people living on the streets." No, it wasn't. It's because the rich people could then harvest more money from poor people and say, "Well, sell us a bit of your garden with a garage on it, and we'll flog that, and you can have some money, and we'll keep a load of money."
Isn't that just the human condition? Now, people are going to say, "Oh, yes, we should be doing this and doing that." But okay, if I've got a garage I can sell for 80,000, I'll do that rather than thinking I'll put it in the general plan. I mean,
Yes, but if your planning permission doesn't allow that, then you can't do that. So somebody somewhere at some stage. Notice I'm not saying it's a Tory government or a Labour government or any other film. It is just the system says people with money tend to get their own money. We need more houses, therefore we're going to give planning permission, blanket planning permission, that you can convert a garage into a property and sell it as a property when it's not, it's a garage. Or you can sell brownfield sites for building residential properties, and then you find out, well, actually, there was a chemical works on this years
the
ago.
whole thing. I mean, we know this. I mean, as I said before, I was the editor of the British Regeneration Association magazine, and asbestos,
everywhere,
the water table, etc. You can't just and nobody's going to phone in and say, "Oh, but we can put the migrants in the brownfield sites," because I can see that one coming on as well.
No, they're going to put the migrants at the end of the runways because all of Britain's airports had land at the end of their runways that they're now being allowed to sell off for residential building.
Right, but isn't this again? I mean, do we think, pal, isn't this dead cat sort of situation? It's like, oh, right, okay, look. I mean, it's very easy to go, well, you need to get rid of the migrants, rather than actually saying, well, no, there's great injustice. Rachel Reeves is looking at some of discontent. Also, we've got the whole situation. I was speaking to, as I said before, people are telling us that the increase in national insurance contributions are stopping people from hiring staff, and then there was a decry the other day that even more billionaires are leaving the UK, and this has this can upset your trickle down economics if you believe such a thing exists. So
that's because you take away non-dom status, so all the rich people, because they're raking in loads of money by being non-dom, can't be non-doms anymore, so they'll go and find another country where they can live and be.
They all go to Italy. They're all in Italy now. That's the hot spot.
Well, they're going wherever. Rex, for 100 years or more, anybody with any money, to avoid paying tax, never stayed in a country for more than about 3 months. Elton John used to tour the world, go to all these different properties. I think what's his name, the tennis player, Djokovic. I don't know where he's got properties. I know he's got 2 down here on the Costa del Sol.
Just up the road from me.
Has he now?
Yeah, and they just wander around the countries. They stay there for however long. They end up paying no tax anywhere in the world, even though you have to pay and you're a European Union member. All that, that's nonsense. The rich people will always find a way around. And remember, we used to have, what's his name, Sanka.
You forget they contribute to the economy. They contribute to the economy.
Who do?
And they're not doing any harm. They're only doing good.
Who do? Who contributes? The rich?
Rich people contribute to the economy.
If you didn't have rich people investing money so that they can make more money, then the whole of the country would be poorer. But never run away from the fact, Rex, you never put 10 bob in to get 9 bob back. You put 10 bob in to get £1 back. Everybody who invests in something wants something back for their money. Because rich people, and I say this mildly, I'm talking about not well-off people, not affluent middle class. We're talking about the super rich who don't care. They've got 14 properties or 15 properties. They don't care because they'll sell them at a loss if they don't like the place, and it matters not to them, does it? It's their money for the week. Oh, I'll just give that away. So it's about the super rich,
right?
We're talking about, and if the super rich want to move, it doesn't matter what law you pass. But what you're trying to do, surely, what a government attempts to do, is to say to people, we just want a fair system with people paying a fair amount, so that we can provide fair services.
Coming up to the end of the first half of Viewpoint, believe it or not, we'll be back after the national and international news. Al, thanks for your call this morning.
Talk Radio Europe.
Your voice in Spain.
Discuss, challenge, inform, comment, Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe.
Giles Brown.
Live comment and discussion with studio guests.
Viewpoint. Always live, always lively. The last Viewpoint before the summer break. So if you want to get your tuppence in, these are indeed the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
If you're wondering what's happening later today, well, as always, Stephen Ritson will be following me with Europe Today. Then it is, of course, Selena Mackenzie. She will be joining us for the Lifestyles show. Following Selena will be Hannah with TRE in the afternoon. Howard Burton joins us. He's going to have to be taking a week off. He's going to taking the month off, I think, for August. So he's bringing us this as Spain sort of slopes towards its summer holiday season. So he will be with us between 6 and 7 before a repeat of this morning's Viewpoint. In the weeks that come, I shall be doing Let's Talk. We're trying to get some current affairs interviews in there as well, but we won't be doing Viewpoint because obviously with the shutting down of the parliaments and political systems. And as you will, if you want to get involved with today's show.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio. To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Yes, indeed. If you want to get your viewpoint, give me something international, national, or even local. Last Viewpoint before we enjoy our summer break. If there's anything that's crossing your mind and you want to get involved in, we were talking about the situation in the UK at the moment. There's something about Spain. If you've got a local issue that you want to get across, then I'd like to hear from you as well. Looking at
What was the local reaction to the women's footy the other night? Must have been devastating.
Oh, okay. You want to go down? You want to go down? I'm having this thing. You see, right? This is my. I saw this on that their social media the other day. Okay, and in a woke and excuse me, I forgot to mention she was the woke finder general. Rex, how stupid of me. But listen,
don't worry. It will live on.
It will live in. Well, no, because here we are, right? It's the women's Euros, etc. And there's a comedian who said, well, this is very strange because we're using the lionesses, and surely in a woke pre-colonial world, I mean, isn't that cultural appropriation? Because lions aren't, believe it or not, aren't naturally indigenous creatures to the UK. So perhaps we could go for some other creature. Maybe.
Well, of course, it comes from the flag, doesn't it? It comes from the flag. Right. The lion's used on the flag of England.
That's the one. I've got a caller on the line. Morning, caller. You're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Morning, Giles. It's Peter.
Peter. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning. I don't know where to start, really, because we got through the blatant racism to start with, and then we move on to the memory lane down London, Islington, and Lewisham in 1970, and God knows what. And the opening statement from that man was, "We need to sort this out," right? And then we talk about the past, as always, but in not sorting it out. Now, the thing is, Giles, we're getting this right and left thing all the time, and whipping everybody up, and nothing's ever being solved. Yet we talk about solving it, and it's so easy to whip the left up, so easy to whip the right up, because there is a handful of idiots on both sides, and you can go on Facebook, and that's where they all are, and I don't do social media, and you can whip them up, and you can bring people in from outside. This works both ways, and you can create havoc, and that's exactly what they want. The problem is, I mean, I could earn a fortune off of this show. I had a bet a couple of weeks ago that right wing would be mentioned over a certain amount of times. You and Andreas spent the first hour, most of the second hour, and you labelled everyone as far right, right wing, the right, and I don't know how many times you said it. But then when Gil rang in and said his viewpoint about he thought ours were more violent, oh, well, you can't say that. You can't put everybody in the same category and shut him down. You spent an hour and a half calling everybody right wing and saying that they were all shipped in and they're all idiots, and we've all seen it on the reverse the last few years. Now that the tables have been flipped, it's a different story. So, and just briefly, if you allow me a little bit of time here, sure, I don't know if you've read. Well, I don't know if you've read, but they're having the same problems in Japan at the moment. Yeah. Now, there is no more socially aware, socially behaviored people on this planet. Now they're being labelled right-wing. Now, I don't think Japan turned right-wing overnight, do you? But they're complaining about things like car parking, people standing in front of people's views, not queuing properly, because of this culture thing that was brought up earlier. And then a couple of weeks ago, again, Gary mentioned that the change of culture. If you have a small town, village, whatever, 5,000 people, and you bung in 600, 800, 1,000 with a completely different culture, then it's going to affect that place, especially an older generation. And they're going to get a little bit confused and a little bit lost and a little bit unwary of the people around them. Now, at that point, I was about to ring in, and we get another phone call saying, because Gary always likes to bring a bit of levity to the show, and he did. He talked about football hooligans or football people, or migrants piddling in the street. So then we get a phone call. Oh, well, football hooligans piddle in the street. They're all right wing. So my granddaughter's 12, goes to football. She must be right wing. So this is the ridiculousness of it. And going back to what was said at the beginning of our conversation, we need to sort this out. This isn't going to get sorted out overnight. I've been talking about it for years, and this is the thing that Alf has been calling fruit pickers that we need, who soon won't have jobs because of AI, automated picking, automated everything. So we don't need to bring in hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions. But the reason they're bringing them in, it's quite simple, because all that money, all those benefits, all those hotels, all that money goes into the system, and that increases GDP. That's why they're doing it, to increase the GDP, to keep the Ponzi scheme of the economy going. People don't look at that. There's all that going into the system. And as the shortage of homes and things like that, again, Alf was banging on about, the shortage of homes, the Labour Party, literally within 24, 48 hours of coming into power, they had a meeting with BlackRock. Yes, BlackRock, the one I'm always banging on about. You know what BlackRock and Labour said? They would build 300,000 houses in the UK, right? Well, about 260,000 are built anyway. So they were talking about maybe 40, 50,000 extra houses, which they have failed miserably on. Now, companies like BlackRock are coming in, and Vanguard and all these massive companies, and I know people, very big building companies are happening. I know someone in Spain and in the UK. What happens is these companies come in, and say a builder is building 1,000 units or 5,000 units. They will buy, at discount, 50 to 70% of those houses. Now, that builder is never going to say no. He's getting the money up front. He's dealing with one company, one lawyer, and then he sells those houses at discount. Those houses then are put out for rent or multiple occupancy. Then the prices of those houses go up. That's called inflation. Nobody can afford a house. No genuine person who's looking for a mortgage, who's working hard, can afford a house. So what happens then is the supply disappears, the cost goes up, and then BlackRock goes to Mr. Starmer and says, excuse me, but we need to de-risk our investment. So what we want the government to do is to pay for the maintenance and the upkeep of these houses, because you're the one putting the migrants or the unhoused in there. So that's what happened. That's what happened. And this is not going to end. And I can't see us going backwards from it because we have mass migration all over the world. And the only way you can stop it is stop it at source and go to the countries that are allowing these people to leave. And at the same time, talking about all the billionaires leaving, they're not going to Italy, they're not going to Europe, they're going to Baku in Azerbaijan, which I'm sure you know about because it's a Formula One destination. And I don't know if you've seen Baku. Have you seen the Formula One at Baku?
I haven't been personally, but I know Baku, because a friend of mine...
You know Baku?
A friend of mine was involved with Quintessentially over there, so yeah.
Yeah, well, what a beautiful country. Absolutely spotless, where a mosque sits next to a Christian church. The two Muslims, sets of Muslims get on absolutely fine. Nobody's allowed to push their religion. There is virtually zero crime. Same in Dubai. This is where they're going. They're not paying taxes. They're being invited in. They're being encouraged in. They're sports washing, whilst the rest of us drown under poverty and migration. You said the other week about the Dubaification of Marbella. Yeah. Could you square that circle for me? Do you mean you don't like the Arabs there, or you don't like the money there?
I don't like the architecture and the fact that the place is becoming more bland by the second. You could wake up, you hit on the head and wake up anywhere at the moment and not sure where you are, because the way the architecture is the same, the way that you're surrounded by the same global brands, that sort of thing. We are moving to the point where you can be in Dubai, you can be in Marbella, you can be in south of France. All the architecture looks the same. All the same brands are the same there. There's a Starbucks everywhere. There's a Nobu everywhere. There's a whatever. And the architecture is the same.
That's the world, Giles.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. And that was my. But the world.
But also, I can't seriously say that because there's no super train there. There's no 30-story buildings there. There's no anything like that. It's nothing like Dubai. It's nothing like Azerbaijan. It's nothing like the United Arab Emirates. It's nothing like any of these countries. Absolutely nothing like. And it's the trouble is with Marbella, a lot of it is new money. It's not legacy wealth money. That's the problem we have. But we will continue to be trod upon and pay the price. And as we all know, or most of us know, that Labour will destroy any country, especially the UK, and they're doing it faster than anybody thought they could possibly do it, but they're doing it. And all because this is gerrymandering, it's buying votes, and it's keeping the Ponzi scheme of the economy going, while the rest of us sit and rot. That's what's happening. And as I said, all this talk about jobs, fruit pickers, the things the English won't do, there are no jobs. It's what they call silent quitters. You know, you go into a restaurant now and nobody wants to serve you and nobody wants to speak to you. And we live in terrible times. We're in a fourth industrial revolution. Tech has taken over and the rest of us are going to be left behind, seriously left behind. But people don't understand what it's about.
Peter, as always, thank you for your call in there. Good to hear from you as always. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
952 78 4000. Tim, you're looking critical at me.
Yeah, this is a sort of almost when I come to power sort of series of comments.
Right.
But just to go back a little bit on what was just said there about left and right-wing attitude, that... You know, the polarisation that's taken place since we've had this tech revolution is pretty dramatic because what you have is sort of algorithms driving you into echo chambers where people become ever more polarised, and one is not permitted at times without overt criticism to voice what might seem to be the voice of reason. My personal politics, for example, are what one might call social democrat,
right.
which doesn't truly exist in British politics now. It nearly did, but it doesn't. And so there's a social conscience which goes alongside something of a maybe old school attitude that societies evolve into and having the powers that they have, the powers of tolerance and acceptance and their culture, which can be subtracted by invasion. Of a military kind, and an invasion of a different kind. You know, countries do evolve. We could become in the UK a sort of Hong Kong, attracting those billionaires back by giving them massive tax advantages and having sort of a trading advantage from there. But that won't happen because of the thorough and complete ineptitude of the last 20 years of government in the British Isles.
Rex, your thoughts?
Well, there's a lot came out over the last 10 minutes or so, even so much that I'm having a slight problem in digesting it all. There were some very valid points, and there were some negative points. It's interesting, the take-up of GDP with regards to housing and the economy. I'm not sure I could fully understand that particular point. However, and Alf was going on about, the one word he didn't use was gentrification of areas. That's what's happened, where people's standards improve and therefore they want to live in a better accommodation or whatever. But we won't go back over that. I'm not sort of... I like this point about Azerbaijan being utopia. I've not heard that before.
When my friend was doing stuff for Quintessentially, she said it was very interesting because every evening there's a large central boulevard. She said for if you're a guy, Azerbaijan is a wonderful place because you are knee deep in young ladies because and in the hotel foyers they are parading because it's an oil rich country, and literally they are parents are bringing dressing their daughters up and down to hopefully meet a rich Westerner. So she was she didn't work for Quintessentially very long in Azerbaijan, but there you go.
Well, that's very interesting. Sadly, I've not been, but maybe I should put that on my bucket list.
Yes, a bit autocratic as well at the best of times. But this is a bit. If you're an oligarch or if you're incredibly rich, I mean, these are the places you want to go to, like Dubai and like Azerbaijan and Baku, because these are the places where or Singapore, you rock up and they go, thank you very much, no questions asked, especially those with interesting human rights records. Simple as that. Right, a quick break and then back with more Viewpoint.
Viewpoint with
Giles Brown.
With you for the next 35 minutes or so. If you want to get your viewpoint across, say something. If you don't think I'm correct about the Dubai vacation of certain places, these are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Thank you, Richard. There's no specific evidence suggesting a mass exodus of UK non-DOMs to Azerbaijan. I don't know. See, the thing with the show, you never know where you're going to go. In this case, we're going to Baku. While some non-DOMs may be considering relocation due to tax changes, Dubai... and other destinations with favourable tax regimes are more frequently cited as destinations. Azerbaijan is not typically mentioned as a primary choice for those seeking to minimise their tax burden. I heard are you okay, Rex? You haven't gone over the side of the ship, have you, or anything?
No, I'm still here.
Just check. I heard a noise in the background.
I'm just trying to dodge all the noises here on the vessel. I've got... The north runway is being used right now, so the planes are coming over.
Is it an aircraft carrier? Have you upgraded?
And I've got the washing machine, which is in need of repair, making a hell of a noise downstairs. And I've got my grandson on the vessel as well, so I have to dodge his noise.
Right.
So I'm moving around as I speak with you, but it's good. It's good. It's all good.
It's all good on the poker. Right.
Challenging.
952 78 4000. You were before Peter got involved, and thank you for the call in, Peter. You were talking about what has been the reaction due to the Lionesses, and I was making my usual facile comments.
Oh yes. Can I say something?
Off you go.
I'm not a great football fan of any male or female football. It doesn't particularly.
Association football here, Rex, not the noble game.
But I, for my sins and for my judgment, I thought Spain played a lot better than England. But England had the good fortune, and that's it. And it was just sheer luck. That's my opinion of the game. And I dread to think how disappointed all the Spanish would have been, obviously.
Well,
but, I mean, it was bad luck on the part of Spain. They deserved to win. They did, honestly.
Funny old game, football. jumpers for goalposts, Tim?
Yeah, I made a rather facetious remark on Facebook.
Did you really?
This magnificent performance by those ladies. That
oh yes,
yeah, in character terms. That they there was not a single.
No, it's just I know what your Facebook posts are like, Stafford. So I'm now trying.
Yeah,
go on,
there was not a single biological male on the pitch, and that was a wonderful thing.
Oh.
And because we can celebrate the feminine sporting endeavour, and
but they play better football. They seem to play much better football than the blokes.
Yes, where's it smoother? And the other thing is, I was appalled by the fact they were allowed to pass the ball forward, Rex. I don't know. I don't know what that was.
The wrong shaped ball, dear boy. Oh. No, but no, I mean, this is something. I mean, yeah, exactly. Thank you, Richard. Yeah, the problem is we won't hear the end of this win. I mean, I mean, I was watching. I had it on the background. I was doing something else, but I did watch the first half, or I was observing the first half with Spanish commentary, and the second half with British commentary, which I thought was, or English commentary, which was a marked difference, I can assure you. But then, I suppose if Spain had won, we would have had blanket coverage as well. But it's like, the problem with having 24-hour news gathering services is the fact that they have to interview everybody, and everybody's got a backstory, and they have to go to the primary school where, whatever, Russo or whatever it is, or Dano or Cagney or Lacey first kicked a ball, and you just, after a while, you go, yes, okay, fair enough. And it was on penalties, and hate
penalties.
I'm sure you do. But
so bad for your nerves.
At a time when according to our listeners and listening to the Viewpoint, the British Isles are going to what's the proverbial in a handbag. This is the one thing that people can get behind and go. I mean, in a world that gives Luke Littler an OBE for throwing darts, surely, I mean, the England women's football team should at least be given the Dutch of Lancaster.
Well, I'm looking forward to see what rewards are handed out. I think the Dutch manageress is sensational. I mean, she's obviously.
I think we have to call it manager.
I was being woke.
Were you being woke?
Even though I shouldn't be woke. I was being woke. I wouldn't dare use the male collective term. The manageress is true. Anyway,
but again, it is a sign of how far the game has come in terms of women's football, because again, it's front. I mean, as I was saying yesterday, 30 years ago there was a not 9 o'clock, or 40 years ago there was a not the 9 o'clock news sketch about the best thing about being women's football is when they changed shirts, when they swapped shirts at full time. And exactly, Rex.
Giles.
Yeah.
No, I was referring to it as a historical reference point, Stafford. Please keep your shirt on. So therefore, I mean, Benny. We're getting away from the Benny Hillisms, but a very good friend of mine, Sam Stapleton, has gone from the male professional game to the women's professional game in terms of being an agent, and the amount of interest that is bringing, and the amount of revenue it's going to bring in. 80,000, 90,000 fans at the Nou Camp to see El Clasico between Barcelona women and Real Madrid women. And also, you'd have to say, it's the sort of atmosphere that you want to go to, because no crowd trouble, yeah? I was going to say nobody peeing in the streets, but let's not go there. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, if you think of the disgraceful scenes when England got at Wembley, when England got to the Euro final against Italy, and there was mayhem, and yet this was, you saw families. You certainly won't see, you see families and children, and in a way that you would not see at an England-Spain men's football match,
like a rugby match, and and also that. If you watch any of the club football that these English players come from, the levels of vicious, so it was a bit like live, vicious tackling and hair pulling and appalling sort of revenge tackling that the ladies seem to enjoy is an indicator. It's like a microcosm of society.
I was just saying what a positive. I was saying what a positive thing women's football is, Tim.
Oh, it is a positive thing. Yeah, wonderful.
But you're just saying it's hair pulling and viciousness.
Normally, women are much more fiercely, shall we say?
You're looking very good on that typewriter, Tim, I must say.
I thought they were very friendly towards each other, and they help each other up and all of that. I think it's it's played in a much more sportsmanlike way.
Except when the French play the Germans, obviously, and then that was the hair pulling, I think that Tim was talking about. Yes, indeed. But yes, it was, and obviously, if you're the Prime Minister at the moment, you need all the fillip you can get, don't you? So, I mean, obviously, to be seen pictured with the lionesses is going to be a good thing. Talking about women who need to up their game, Rachel Reeves coming into the summer. Do you think she's going to be there when we reconvene, or at the end of the year?
That's a very, very good question. I hope she is removed and that we get a fresh pair of eyes, because it does appear that most things she's touched have not worked.
Midas touch in reverse, you mean, Tim?
Exactly. So in a way, I think that would be better for us all. But there is this bond between her and Mr. Starmer, so who knows? All I know is that there's not one person here that one speaks to in the pub or wherever it is, and there's not one happy person in England content with what we've got at the moment. It's very, very unpleasant for the majority of the population.
Here's the thing as well. We've got this. I just want to get another point that came across my radar. As you may or may not have noticed, President Trump is making an unofficial visit to the UK. It's not a state visit. That's going to come later on. He's in Scotland. But he met up with Starmer, and he's telling him to. It's not the first time. He's warning Starmer about reform and Nigel Farage, and this seems to be very bad news for Tories. And it's very good news for Farage because he's getting all the and reform because they're getting all the headlines. And if he's being mentioned, if reform are being mentioned by the President of the United States of America, this is going to do them a lot of good, Rex.
Well, I mean, did I imagine, or yesterday, did Trump slag off the Mayor of London?
Possibly.
Or did I imagine that?
Yeah.
He did, didn't he, yesterday?
He did.
Because we had people here, and I wasn't watching the news for long, but I didn't catch the whole thing. But was he slagging off the mayor? I think he was, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
I don't like the way, that he gets involved in local politics. I don't think it's for any other member of another country to comment as he does about other politicians. And the thing about Trump is that you never know what's coming out of his mouth. He's so unpredictable,
Yeah.
and I think his whole speech delivery is very questionable, poor, and rather immature.
The thing with Sadiq Khan, of course, is the fact that those two got previous. If you remember the famous balloon that was allowed to float above London while Trump made his first. When Trump made his first, and that obviously. So they have previous, as the saying goes, Rex.
Yeah. Because he was mayor then, wasn't he?
Well, Khan was mayor, and they let him...
Yes, that's right. Khan was mayor in 18.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean... sorry,
has Trump gone back? Is he going back today or tomorrow?
I imagine he's going back today, and then, of course, we're going to have at some point this year, we're going to have the second official state visit by President Trump.
It's going to be very, very interesting.
Well, it will be very interesting when he meets King Charles, because obviously King Charles is his relationship with Canada as part of the Commonwealth and other points.
Well,
But the thing is that as it stands, and I really do mean as it stands because of Trump's attitude to changing his mind, that we have a 10% tariff on our goods to the US. As against, I think it's a 20% tariff for the remainder of Europe. So it's about the first benefit I've seen of being outside the EU. And but the thing is about Trump is that he has 3.5 years left. I mean, here today, gone tomorrow politicians, that famous phrase. And that's what he is. And that after that, one would imagine or assume that relations between, in terms of trade and tariffs and so on, between, let's say, the US and Canada and the US and Europe will not be along Trump's lines. It'll be altered and become more stable.
I mean, that's me flabbergasted. My flab has never been so gasted. Yeah, no, because obviously with the Democrats in total disarray at the moment, you have to say even if 3 years, unless they get themselves a really great figure, and it's certainly not going to be AOC or the advance is going to be a shoo-in for Trump as Trump's successor. And also, you saw, if you didn't know, but favourite person of the year, Hunter Biden, did a quite incredible interview with one of the networks where he let loose against George Clooney, Nancy Pelosi, dropped the F-bomb a few times, saying that they had undermined his dad, etc. Which was, and it just shows that the Democrats have not come out of the States. They've kept their head under, and they really. You kind of wonder where they've all gone in terms of...
They've vanished. They've sort of vanished.
Yeah. A bit enjoying this Nespressos on Lake Como, basically.
Yeah. Yes. It's a bit like the Conservatives being swamped by reform, Yeah. It's fascinating, but unfortunately we've got to, withstand these remaining terms in office of Prime Minister and of the President of the United States. Of course, Macron will be disappearing soon, won't he? His time's up, isn't it? His time's up.
Yeah, a couple of things coming in there. Donald Trump, Fat Donny slagged off Sadiq and he showed me a picture of the giant man-baby balloon. But when Bodger, otherwise known as Boris Johnson, was mayor, he said that Donny was totally out of his mind. Meanwhile, morning Sam, he slagged off immigration in England and he slagged off the mayor of London. And this one in, hello, maybe a small point, but Aliyev is Azeri, Turkey and Sunni, ruling over a Shia majority population, Azeri Persian. Corruption International named Azeri Person of the Year. He was also involved in the drone attack in Russia and heads up the main CIA headquarters in Western Asia, not to mention their close association with Israel. I doubt stable is the right adjective to describe Azerbaijan's future. To the lines we go. Thank you for that comment in. Morning, calling live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Sorry, it's Andrew Jenkins, actually. I was on the programme yesterday with Hannah, and I got cut off. And I just had this phone that this number had been called through.
Ah, sorry. Yes, you've obviously hit the main line. So sorry about that. Yeah, you've come into our phone show discussing the issues of the day. So thank you very much for the calls. It's quite all right. But unless you want to make it, unless you've got a viewpoint on Azerbaijan, Donald Trump, or a migration, then it's good to hear from you again.
No, not that's repeatable.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your call. Yes, indeed. Listen, Andrew, thank you for your call and take care. 952-784-4000 is the phone. I do like that. I used to get that quite a lot when I used to do a Friday afternoon show, because you get the telecanvassers phoning up, and obviously the numbers on a thing, and so I'd go live to the lines and somebody would go hola, and then they'd try and sell me solar panels, which was quite good fun. Going to take a quick break and then go back which will be 2 minutes, and then back for the last 15 and a half minutes of Viewpoint.
Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe with Giles Brown.
Into the last 15 minutes of this morning's Viewpoint. If you wish to get involved,
to contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio. To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
And we seem to have lost Rex Leyland. I hope he hasn't gone overboard. I mean, he just... we seem to have lost Rex Leyland.
Splicing the main brace.
He's splicing the main brace, yes. Very... no response. Okay, well, we'll try and get him back. I'll get one of my minions, the many researchers I have behind me, as you can see, Tim. You know, pick a researcher.
The thousands, yes, around Gemma, yes.
Yeah, okay, that one. That'll be okay, fine. Marvellous. Well, the best call of the day is the best call of the day. Thank you very much. If reform is the answer, what indeed is the question? Indeed, well... 952-78-4000 being the phone number. studio@tre.radio is the email. The Facebook page is Talk Radio Europe Official. With you with this last viewpoint before the summer break. So if there's anything you want to get across, to get over to me, now is the time to do it, because I shall be I will be doing during the summer recess. I will be bringing an extra Let's Talk program between the hours of 10 and 12. And don't forget, I'm standing in for Dave Hodgson as well for the next 8 working days. So you get 4 hours of Giles Brown. 4 hours of Giles Brown in the morning by 12 o'clock. And as I said before, you get less for armed robbery.
Permanent residency, say in Spain, it's after 5 years, then you can apply or get permanent residency, right? Citizenship in Spain is 10 years. You have to have been a legal permanent resident in Spain for 10 years before you can apply for citizenship.
Europe Today.
The UK is 5 years, only 5 years to apply to become a citizen.
Presented by Stephen Ritson, weekdays from midday.
Is Starmer saying it changes to become a British citizen from 5 years to 10 years, or you can't become a permanent legal resident until you've lived in the country for 10 years on a sort of temporary residency? And that's the question there.
952-78-4000. Rex, are you there?
I am here.
Yeah, so we just thought we'd lost you. We thought you'd gone overboard from
the line just suddenly dropped. I don't know what happened.
That's all right. So into the last 11 minutes of this morning's viewpoint, and we were talking about Sadiq Khan and London and the situation with that. But again, you know, saying if you give the reform oxygen, then I mean the Conservatives seem to be sort of floundering around an awful lot at the moment. No clear policy. It looks like, you know, even though there are, you could even argue there are very few policies out of reform at the moment. You know, what is the man on the Thames thinking about this one, Rex Poos?
Well, from my perspective, I think that, I mean, everyone's banging on about reform's selection methods. Are they going to choose the right candidates and stuff like that? I think this country is in need of a change, and I think that if reform are successful, it would be very, very interesting to see what policies they pursue and how we all react, having had only really, except for the short coalition, which actually I thought worked very well when the Liberals and the Conservatives did it together. But it'll be interesting to see in the future how this country will fare under a fresh government that no one has experienced before. And I do like Farage. You know that I've always been a supporter, not particularly avidly, but a supporter nonetheless. And as you know, I was a Brexiteer. Sadly, that wasn't delivered properly by Boris, but that's another story. And I think it is time to move on and to have a fresh government. My only concern, and knowing people who are in the Reform Party, is that they say that Farage does have a problem working with other people, and if you don't toe the line, or as we've seen already with 2 of his prominent members resigning, coming back, and then the other guy being kicked out, I think that probably Farage will have to adopt a more conciliatory tone to his colleagues. That's my only sort of observation at this stage.
Yes, I think that towing the party line with the reform is something that is a serious issue for them. Who's he got behind him? And I do agree with you, Rex. It may be time for something completely. So but it has to be a sort of radical change. There's no point in any sort of electorate appeasing sort of platitudes that we were used to. If they're going to do it, they're going to have to do it in a serious and an undaunted way. Yeah.
And it'll be challenging, no doubt.
As I was saying the other week, it seems that there's you've got it used to be two-party system, right? Conservatives, Labour, dead easy. Now we've got Conservatives, Labour, Reform, Greens. We've got the new Your Party, whatever they're calling
the party without a name.
The party without a name. I've been through the desert with a horse with no name. We've got the Lib Dems, of course, Scottish National Party, Plaid Cymru. We're in danger. The UK is in the danger of going down the same path as we have in Spain, where we have or shudder Italy. Although we'd like the lifestyle, we don't like the politics, and so therefore we could have coalition after coalition after coalition, and the problem.
But Giles, we don't have PR. We don't have proportional representation, so it's got. That's why they have so many issues with positive government, which is why Italy's always floundered, because not one party have ever been in power long enough to be able to effect a change. And fortunately...
Looks like he's been cut off again. I think this may be a Russian bot stopping, or, Yes.
FSP?
Rex, are you receiving? No, he's gone over the side again.
A vast behind, and
Sam's come in with you can't drop that comment on us. I'm halfway through paddling. I know it's a nautical zone, but I'm paddling madly here trying to keep this show afloat. All right, you see what I did there. It's time for a big change. That's what the Americans thought too when they chose Trump. God help us. Meanwhile, Richard, who is a permanent presence, of course, Rex, radical change, sure. Expect the UK to be further down a well-known creek that rhymes with you know what. So therefore, I'm going to try and I'm getting very worried about our Rex, the Woke Finder General. He may have just Oh no, hello. We've got a call coming in. Morning, caller. You're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Yeah, hi, Johnny Mears.
Hello, Johnny Mears.
One last thought. A radical difference in politics. If they were to adopt a proportional representation system whereby, and I'll use America, like Trump would have got 1/3 of the votes, Biden, whatever her name is, the Democrats would have got 1/3 of the votes.
Yeah.
And then 1/3 of the votes of all those people who chose not to exercise their vote for whatever reason were given like a position of unaligned parties. So in other words, the whole of the electorate would have representation in Parliament. That would put a change, wouldn't it? Are you with me on that? Hello?
Oh, sorry, I just had to turn my mic's up. There you go. Absolutely. I've just got Rex back on board. Hang on a second. Thanks for the call in there on that one, John. Good to hear from you as always. Rex, are you receiving me now?
I am receiving you, Giles. The line dropped again. I don't know what's going on today.
I think it must be a combination of the heat and you saying nasty things about the British Prime Minister, and they're obviously monitoring they're monitoring you, Rex.
Have you seen these things that are going around now on WhatsApp about that if we spend more than £1,000, it's going to be reported to HMRC, and also if you spend more than an hour on your phone, the phone company is going to keep a record of the call in case the police want to investigate. People are saying these are rumours being started by the far right in order to unsettle the far left. You agree? Have you heard of these?
I haven't heard that one, but the one thing it has been is been this total falling apart with this new online safety bill, where they're saying you need to have this ID and that ID in the whole situation if you want to go on adult orientated websites, and also in chat rooms. The problem with that is, of course, is that they brought this law in, or they're bringing this law in at the moment, and they forgot there's a thing called a VPN system, which means I'm sitting here in Spain, but I could log in from, I could have my destination or my location as, for example, Azerbaijan, and then indeed, and this is really set. Once again, the government's come in and made a policy, which the Spanish, which all they'll do without, especially when it comes to technological things, without being, in advance. It hasn't thought through the actual mechanics of how this is going to do, and. Farage has said he's against this, and you've heard in the news, he said he's against having this digital safe. It's supposed to keep the kids, it's supposed to keep the children safe. Yeah, safe. But as we know, because we're a certain age, you want to get around a system, like get a TV sorted or get your whatever apps working. You're asking, I've got teenage goddaughters. You ask them, and they go boom, 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 done. So they'll be able to get around these systems, these safety systems, in 3 shake of a doormat of Dormouse's what's it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
They will, and of course, there's a tremendous treading on toes of free speech and so on. And I would have thought that those in steel-hulled vessels on the Thames with submarines.
It's not a Bond villain there. But the other thing is, it's because they're monitoring for abusive speech. If I've got a model railway club chat group, I haven't, by the way, but just let you know, and we had a discussion about N-Gage, and it got very, very. Or is it Hornby, or is it some German electric thing? Yeah. If you're monitored, they could shut that group down, because there are so many sort of hoops you're going to have to leap through. I mean, we're not talking Data Protection Act here, sort of thing, but the same sort of thing to ensure it's a safe space for everyone, and nobody is exposed to content they might find harmful or disturbing. And that's a broad church for a start, because what you find harmful, Tim, I might think is my day-to-day conversation, and that's for what Rex is harmful. I mean, he's the woke finance general. I mean, anything can part of his radar,
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
I think it should be in the realms of the law. If somebody's presenting something on the internet which is unlawful.
Obscene Publications Act.
Yeah. I mean, a variety of ways in which that can be prosecuted.
Yeah.
And that should be, some sort of commentary which is designed to cause religious hatred, all these things, which are already in law, should remain applicable to, obviously, social media. I don't see how one benefits from necessarily trying to shut people up.
Yeah, but it's also this whole, we must protect the children thing. But if when we grew up in the whatever it ever is in the previous century, there was always material going around, be it violent material. Yeah, go on.
Yes, the Parade magazine I think that was on the top shelf, even before Playboy.
Yeah.
I remember Parade.
Yeah. You're coming a little too enthusiastic. You're coming across a little too enthusiastically. Yeah.
Readers' wives.
Stop it.
and then the Sun with page 3.
Yes, indeed. Stop it. Right, we're going right down the path I didn't want us to go with. But what we're saying is, Rex.
No. There was an article.
I'm imagining your neighbours here, right, who are more alongside you, and they can't hear the conversation. They just hear you shouting out "Parade" and page 3 of the Sun.
No.
I mean, come on.
No, they can't. No one can. It's total privacy, and the hull is 4 inches thick.
Lead lined. Yes, indeed.
It doesn't count. But one day, if you're on your holidays, Giles, you'll come and visit me.
I will come and see the good thing. Right then, Work Finder General. We are almost out of time. It's been my pleasure and my privilege. My thanks to my guest, Rex Leyland, the Work Finder General.
It's a pleasure. And I hope you have a lovely holiday wherever you're going.
Indeed, downhill rapidly. And also to Tim Stafford.
Oh, thank you, Giles. Enjoyed it.
Right then, this show is going to be repeated at 7 o'clock this evening. We'll see you after the summer recess. Stephen Ritson is up next.
The views expressed on Viewpoint by invited studio guests and callers do not constitute an opinion endorsed in any way by Talk Radio Europe.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit TRE.radio.